Just outside Calgary, Alberta. You'll have to forgive me if sometimes, I know I'm in Ontario here, so I gotta be careful what I say out here. But anyways, we drive fast in Alberta, and we big wide open, 1,000-acre fields, and that's where this machine was tested and put through its paces for the last 5 years. So I got the first prototype 5 years ago. We took it to about 35 farms that first year, got all the feedback from the farmers, from the dealers, and built our current machines. So these are both 2023 and 2024 models that we have here. They're used sprayers, right? They're not brand new. Our brand new machines have the brand new Closs cab on them and the bigger engine, the bigger tank. I guess kind of a general question before we start. Somebody throw it out, but what's the biggest challenge you guys have spraying in this area? Weather? So when you say weather, is it wind or is it rain? Wind. Okay. So a big advantage of our sprayer is we can run the booms close to the ground, right? So it's got a 10-inch nozzle spacing. I don't know if you guys were watching me when I was ripping around out there, but I'm running around with a 20-inch boom height, right? So the boom is extremely close to the ground. I can spray beside the neighbors, keep a consistent boom height, and have less drift. So at 40 psi, a droplet leaves the nozzle at about 70 kilometers an hour, and it loses speed the further it gets away from target, right? So if we can keep that boom as close to target as possible, we can reduce our drift, and at the end of the day, have a little bit less anxiety. Did I drift the neighbors or not when I go to bed at night? In Alberta, we just spray anyways, and hopefully I get less phone calls. But either way, let's go take a look at the machine here. So show of hands here. Who has a deer sprayer? A couple deer guys. Case. Case guys. New Holland. Peggy. Anything else I don't know about? That's it. Okay, just deer case then. One row gator. I didn't even mention that one. I forgot about it. I think I like all sprayers, right? I just love spraying. I'll never badmouth another brand of machinery, so it's really exciting for us to get to see them all kind of on the same course today and compare. But whoever gets in the cab with me today, put your seatbelt on, because we're going to drive fast, right? And hopefully not break anything, but we'll see. Our models, we have a 6300 and an 8460. The 8 and the 6 stand for the tank sizes. So we have a 2,140 gallon tank and a 1,700 gallon tank. The two different engine sizes are 310 horsepower for the small one and 460 horsepower for the big one. So the model we've been selling in Ontario lately is that big 460 horsepower engine, which is the biggest sprayer engine that's ever been built, and the 2,140 gallon tank with this 80-inch lift. So you can hit a button in the cab, it'll drop down, you can fill it, hit another button, and it'll lift right up. So you can transport this thing down the road loaded at 2,100 gallons at full speed, so 37 miles an hour. Do I recommend it? Probably not. It's scary driving that fast down the road with that much weight on, right? So we try to keep them a little bit slower than going down the road. To carry around that much weight, we try to put big tires on these things. So this is a 380 105 R54, which gives us more height. Most of you guys are probably running for your skinny tires 380 90 R46s, which come up to about, right there for your skinnies. So this gives us more flotation on the ground, more traction, but also more height when you're in there spraying top point. For our floater tires, we can put up to 900 millimeter big fat tires on there. Most guys in Ontario are trying to get down the road 710s or 750s. But to carry around big tires, we have to put on big hubs and big wheel motors. So when you go home or look at any other sprayer in the yard here today, go put your hand on the wheel motor and the hub compared to this one, right? It's just a bigger hub and a bigger wheel motor. So this is 115 cc on the front and 170 cc on the back for our wheel motor size. In comparison, your Case and Rogators are all 110 cc on the wheel motors if you've ever replaced one. So gives us more torque, more traction with these big tires. Our tank is a stainless steel, so it's a 2,100 gallon tank. Like I said, the biggest tank in the industry to spray tall corn with is 2,100 gallons. So what it gives us is more capacity. You can do more acres per day and get more done. Or you get done quicker and just spend more time at the lake. Because right now, if your fields are clean and the weeds are all dead, I'm not going to tell you this sprayer is going to make them more dead, right? But I can tell you, you can spray more acres or spend more time at the lake. Let's go underneath here. Let's get out of the sun. It's going to be a hot one today, so there's drinks underneath the tent if anybody needs any drinks or whatever. This is the whole key to the sprayer right here. If you look at the design of this center rack, you can see it's completely crooked. And it's not broken right now. I did this on purpose to show that the center rack can move independently from the rest of the sprayer. So what this means is when I'm bouncing through those bumps, you saw me going through the field, this whole center rack was moving independently. So if you ever see a drone take a video up in the sky, right, the drone's gonna be bouncing around, but that camera stays completely level and the video is smooth. So that's the exact same technology that's on this back rack here. There's a gyroscopic sensor on the back rack that's controlling those two hydraulic cylinders. So as your sprayer bounces through the field, you hit a big Western Alberta badger hole. I don't know if you have those out here or not, but you can drop a sprayer tire in one of those. Anyways, you hit that, this boom will stay completely level. Okay. The other thing that's unique about the boom control in this machine is the flex. So if you look at how I parked this machine over here, we have a flex point halfway down the boom. So you still have your traditional lift, you know, kind of at the shoulder, right? Like all your sprayers will have. But this one will have another lift at the elbow. So this will flex up and down through the field and kind of contour and stay closer to the ground. So again, what we're trying to do with this is reduce drift and keep those nozzles hitting on target, right? So we can drive faster or keep your boom closer to the ground and do a better job. So I talk a lot about spraying fast and spraying big acres and that kind of stuff. But in reality, if you want to do a good job with your chemical, drive slower, right? The slower you drive the sprayer, the less dust there is, the better coverage you're going to get. So to drive slower, you still have to cover the same acres per day. There's a few things you can do to do that. You know, bigger tanks is one of them. A 2,100 gallon tank. You know, we're going out to wider booms. We build up to 160-foot booms now. I just sold the first one down to Illinois in corn country, so the 160 boom is working in corn country and in beans. And the other thing is keep your boom lower. When it gets windy, you know, you don't have to shut down. You can still get acres done. So let's go take a look at the boom. Most North American sprayers, you go home and look at your case, you go home and look at your rogator, it's going to have a single truss here, not a double. So this gives us more strength on the boom. And also, you go look at those two brands of sprayers, they'll have a cut and a weld right here and a cut and a weld right here. What that means, you lose strength, right? So having one long piece of metal with no cuts and welds just gives you more strength. Look at all of our ultrasonic sensors. They all look forward instead of straight down, right? So you look at where this is hitting right now. So say I'm running at a 20-inch boom height right about, you know, down there. This is aiming all the way out to there, right? So it's trying to see what's in front of the boom instead of what's underneath it already. It gives you more time to react. Then there's just small little things the Germans do that always impress me. You look at all of our connectors, they're all shrink wrapped, right? Just to prevent corrosion. Like I said, this is a used sprayer, so, you know, it's got a couple hundred hours on it already, and, you know, it's been through some abuse of me driving it around, but it's still in pretty good shape. You look at our recirculating boom here, all of our wires, all of our harnesses, all the air lines are all inside the trusses. So when you're driving down the road and you're going through a narrow laneway, the trees aren't going to rip off any nozzle bodies or any harnesses. It's all protected. So it's not installed on this sprayer. It's a new option I came up with last year. But what we do is we mount the camera right here on the end. And what this camera does, when I spray my field counterclockwise, right, I can see my field edge. So up on the monitor, I'm going to look. I have a straight line right down that screen. If any obstacle gets to the left of that straight line, you're going to smash it. So you keep all the obstacles to the right of the line. And I look forward now when I'm spraying my headlands instead of over my shoulder. Right? So it just saves my neck at the end of the day. You know, you spray a 1,200 acre field on a 120 boom. That's about 130 acres you got to spray looking over your right shoulder. Right? So it's nice to have the camera right here. But when you do hit the tree, as we all do, this sensor got moved on the new model, so it's all right here on the end, but in line so nothing can hit. That was just a test unit we had up there. But the tree's going to hit this rubber piece right here. Just watch yourself. I'm going to pull this breakaway back. You're going to keep driving forward, right?
Just watch.
The
It's
tree
going
will
to
slide
spread
along the breakaway. We'll see how far it'll hit you guys. Sorry. No, we want it to be nice and controlled on the way back, right? We don't want to have it, whipping around. We're gonna do the same thing going this way, guys. So it breaks away forward and backwards, up and then back, just like that. So if you do hit the ground, you have these bumpers on the bottom, right? If I can push it far enough, it's not going to smash my nozzles. So if you look at the center rack when I move this, right? That center rack is completely balanced, even though it's off center right now. So what it's doing is adjusting that hydraulic pressure inside there, right? To always have a level boom. Let's go take a look at the other side. Come on around behind you guys. So another camera we have the one on the boom tip. We got this camera right here for the backup. So you're going down the highway. Before I make that left turn off the highway, I can always see who's behind me first. They're gonna pass or not. This cover is just to kind of keep things clean. It looks nicer underneath. This is unique right here. So all the plumbing on the machine is all banjo plumbing. So same as any North American built sprayer, but none of the North American sprayers have this line coming off the bottom. What this does is every time you get to a headland, it automatically flushes out your filters for you, dumps them back into the top of the tank, and anything that was caught in this filter is then caught in a big dome filter, okay? So all your filters right now at the bottom, what's in there? A bunch of white gunk, usually. And if you don't pull that out, when you do a clean out, right, it's gonna go back into your next crop. So that's chemical you're paying for already, so you might as well have it all mixed up and dumped into your tank, right? So it remixes. When I pull these filters out, there's no white gunk. Right? Alright. So if you're spraying at night, we got all the LED lights on the cab. We also have these lights down here that shine down your boom. And it has a little rinse nozzle. This comes from your rinse tank. Every time you get to a headland, the boom automatically lifts up to whatever height you want, and it'll give these lights a squirt. Since we built the 160-foot booms, these lights don't reach far enough, so we install LED light strips right behind the cover here. And whatever color you want, you can hook it up to your cell phone in the cab, so it'll like pulse to whatever song you have playing.
For the Christmas parade?
Yeah, so the weeds die better if you do that, right? Something like that. The nozzle control system on this guy is pretty unique. We have two options for the nozzle control. One of them is the same as everybody else, right? So it's the CNH Raven Hawkeye 2 system. That'll be on about probably 50% of our sprayers for the guys that like the pulsating and the individual nozzle control. For the other half of the guys that don't like the pulsating, so guys doing a lot of liquid fertilizer, or guys that are scared of wiring harnesses, that kind of stuff, we put on this auto select system. Underneath here, these are all just airlines. So nothing can really scare me about fixing an airline. If you break one of them, you just walk behind and you can listen for the air leak and just replace it. Simple. They're all just push connector fittings, easy to hook and unhook. The way it works though, when you're driving slow, it'll have just one nozzle turn on. You speed up a little bit, it'll go up half a nozzle size, not half a nozzle size. And it'll automatically pick one tip or any combination of all 6 of these tips as you change speeds through the field. So what that means is you're always going to be running at the pressure range that you want, right? And we can go back to running air inducted tips. So you can't run air inducted tips with a pulsating system. This piece here is a lot cheaper to replace than a solenoid, right? Because there's no electronics in there, no pulsating poppets. It also does turn compensation. So when you're making a turn, it'll have your smallest tip on the inside of the turn and possibly all 6 of these tips on the outside of the turn, right? It's also got the 10-inch nozzle spacing, right? So usually most of your machines will be running on 20-inch right here. We have another set of nozzles right here in the middle. Any questions about that?
So it's not running 10-inch
All the time?
all the time.
Only when you tell it to. So what I usually do is I'll put a twin fan nozzle right here. That'll be on all the time. And then I'll vary these 4 right here or this one in front, but I'll always have this guy turned on. So I'm probably one of the only manufacturers that'll tell you, run a twin fan nozzle for all of your applications, even herbicide. But if you're gonna run a twin fan at all times, you have to be wary of how much drift you have, right? So I love using, I found a tip out of England. It's an air inducted air bubble jet twin fan tip, and fantastic results. The first year they released it was this year. I'll put it on the back of this nozzle body right here, and then all 4 of these will vary, and then I'll put a liquid fertilizer cap here in the front, right? So when you switch to streaming liquid fertilizer, you don't walk behind here and change tips ever again. You just hit a button in the cab, it switches to your stream caps, and away you go. So when you change rates, all the operator has to do, type in, you know, whatever rate you're going, anywhere from 5 to 25 gallons per acre. Type in the rates, it'll automatically change the tips for you. And with those ranges of application rate, you can also do between 5 and 20 miles per hour. So a huge range of speed and application rate at the correct pressure, which gives us, you know, better drift control. Inside the cab, you're gonna have a button that looks like a little picture of a droplet. You can pick a big droplet or a small droplet, and all it's doing is changing how fast it switches between these nozzles to make sure your drift is controlled. Back behind here, this big cover, the idea was it was for mud. Since we installed it, I swear it hasn't rained in Alberta since. So that was about 5 years ago. But behind the tires of your sprayers, you're gonna have a bunch of mud build up on your booms. So what this does, the mud hits the vinyl and falls onto the ground instead of building up on the boom. What we also noticed then was in dusty conditions. So how do you get rid of dust?
Slow down.
Slow down. What else can you do?
Offset the tire.
Hey, there's a good one.
Increase your droplet size.
Increase droplet size. Put on more chemical behind the tires, right? You can do that. What we found was the dust is kind of flowing up and over top of the boom instead of right through it, right? And when you go to Tom's station, ask him about deposition of chemical behind a sprayer boom because he actually tested it. The tires are creating a huge amount of turbulence, right? So there's less chemical actually hitting behind the tires, and it's not necessarily just dust, it's the turbulence of the sprayer itself. So we've tested this in the wind tunnel. This vinyl is actually negating the turbulence of your tires, right? And getting more chemical on location there.
A little more tire tracks.
Well,
Less.
yeah. So it was funny when I was down in Illinois, those first ones we sold down there. I don't know, I noticed patterns, right? So we're looking at this guy's field, and I swear every 120 feet on 120-inch centers, he's got 2 rows of volunteer corn in his beans. He's like, yeah, it's combine losses, he was telling me. I'm like, well, no, it looks like sprayer tracks, right? He's like, well, I got a front mount boom Hagee. There's no way. Maybe there is, right? So I see it everywhere I go. The tracks behind the sprayers, right? You definitely see those weeds building up there. One other place you'll see weeds is your fence row, right? I always see the weeds coming from the fence row nozzles, and I want to show you something on the other sprayer about that. As you walk underneath there, look at the clearance, right? It's 80-inch clearance underneath.
Just make sure you guys stay on this side because they're running behind.
So you can see on this sprayer here now, we have all of our tips installed, right? So what I have is 4 sets of herbicide nozzles, 2 sets of streamers, right? So as I'm doing my liquid fertilizer application with those stream nozzles, it'll go to 1 set of caps, the white or the green ones first, sorry, the white ones first, then the green ones, and the white ones and the green ones at the same time, right? But assuming you're spraying your headland right here, this nozzle on 20-inch spacing has overlap from this one and this one, so they're 100% overlap. This nozzle right here at 120 feet has overlap from this guy, but this half right here is putting on what rate? It's half rate. So your outside nozzle all around your fields is always putting on half rate right around the edges. Makes sense, that's where the weeds are, right? So, unless you use your fence row nozzle correctly. So you see these 2 nozzles on the outside, those are both fence row nozzles. And what we do, I can see they have it installed backwards, but if you spin that back one around, what that guy does, it comes straight down like this and an angle like this. So it's a half nozzle, so it's an edge nozzle, right? So it gives 100% rate to this outside tip going around your field edge. So what I do is I put another one that's an elbow and shooting out about 10 feet. So a double fence row nozzle, what that gives us is the ability to pick 1 fence row nozzle if I'm doing a non-selective herbicide that I don't want to go into the ditch, right? I'll have another fence row nozzle if I'm doing like a broadleaf herbicide to kill my water hemp or my kochia out west, right? But I think we're ready to go start driving the machine around.
Yep, we can fit 2 in the cab.
Any questions before we start driving around?
Just technology.
Yeah.
When you talked about just on the boom leveling.
Yeah.
That's a Horsch.
Yeah, it's all of the rate control, the tank level sensors, the boom height control, all that stuff's ran through the ISO bus. And it's all made directly by Horsch. Whatever monitor you like to put in the cab, that's what we'll install. I'm not going to go teach you how to run a new GPS, you teach me, right? So whatever you like, we make work inside the sprayer. And most of them we go out with John Deere, but the boom height control is all made by Horsch. So you'll never see, that center rack design and that extra flex in the boom on any other brand of sprayer. Any other questions? Okay, let's go break it. How many gallons of water? 400. So, usually when I clean out the sprayer, I feel like it's always the best spray weather. Right? The timing always works out like that. It's when I want to be using it, I got to be cleaning out and changing products. So this machine, it's about 10 minutes and 200 gallons of rinse water, and you'll have her all cleaned out, right? We don't have to be hooked up to our water source. So if I have a guy running the spray trailer, he can clean out the cone, clean out the hoses, and pre-mix the next load. When I pull up with the sprayer, it's all ready to go with the next product, right? It's back up into the top of your tank. It dumps into a basket filter inside the lid and remixes all that chemical. Anything that was caught inside that filter back flushes back into that big basket filter. Gets out of the pressure system. So both of the pressure filters on the machine recirculate back to your main tank, and then the boom, of course, recirculates back to the tank as well. You guys all have recirculating booms? No. One? Okay, we got one guy. So whatever sprayer you buy next, get a recirculating boom. It's a good idea. The last parts that makes the clean out so fast and accurate is the way we rinse the tank up. So when you rinse your tank, right, where is that main rinse getting its water from? From your rinse tank, but then where does it come from? It comes from the pump. So it comes in through your rinse nozzle, that water then goes to the bottom, it's now dirty, then where does it go? It goes back up, right? So then it's dirty water going back in and around, and it's just diluted. So what we do is we use continuous rinse. The second pump on the back rack, it'll be the only manufacturer right now that has a factory installed continuous rinse. So that pump on the back rack will take fresh water, throw it up in through your rinse nozzles. Once it's in the bottom of the tank, now it's dirty, right? And the main product pump shoots it out through the nozzles. So again, 10 minutes, 200 gallons of water, and the machine will be...
Detergent?
What's that?
Will this rinse from enlisted I can go without detergent, or do you have to add tank?
So anybody who buys this sprayer, usually they start using detergent right at the start, they clean up like they always did. And I always tell them, yeah, pull your filter off like you always do. But by the end of the life cycle of them owning that machine, they're not doing it anymore. They're not pulling filters, they're not putting detergent in. But be safe with it. First time you're cleaning it out, yeah, do it the same way you always do. Use the detergent, right? After you're done the automatic rinse, pull your filters off. Okay, leg's gonna go up, but he's gonna come back for you. Okay, product pump. And right now it's set for 145, so I'll take that down just a bit lower, right? We'll go to 40 PSI on the chemical just to start. I only got 8 gallons, right? Opens up my water valve at the top here. Pump's gonna start up now. Now this guy's active. So if I turn this on right now, there's my rinse going around like this, right? So I have a top rinse. I have a bottom rinse right down here that's spinning around. So if I turn both of them on at the same time, you can see it's gonna make like a vortex down here, right? And you don't wanna have it too much pressure because you don't wanna get wet. So while those are going, I can also activate this guy right here. Oh, looks like they didn't winterize it, that's great. But this guy here will shoot fresh water out as well. And then this one here will activate your rinse nozzle. We're going to use that. So now, if I spin this guy here, that sucks in now whatever's inside. So you hear that Venturi activate. Oh, it's losing. I got enough water in there. It's down to 0. My pump lost pressure. trying. I didn't have enough water in the tank. I'm gonna try to transfer over that last gallon to see if it works. Nothing. I need to get that pump to get pressure to suck this guy out. I got 1 gallon in there now. 2 gallons. See if this works. It's going down. Sometimes you're good, right? Barely just got enough transferred over. So now you can see my tank level's getting bigger. Whatever was inside here is getting sucked out, right? As I'm doing this, you know, I can turn this guy back on and I can rinse out inside here at the same time, right? So what this means, if I go over and I hit this button right here now, that means this main product pump will suck fresh water instead of what's ever in my tank, right? So then I can rinse this out every time. It's all automatically cleaned out. Because these 4 lines right here, there's no automatic for that. Those are all manual.
It's kind of nice, actually. But this only gets clean water then.
Correct. If I have this button active right here, this pump sucks clean water, which sends clean water through my rinse nozzles down here, right? Let it turn it off, that button right there, and we're cleaned out. Good. Now, I'm going to show you something else. Watch yourself here. So right now, say I want to dump my tank out, how do you do it right now? You're going to open this up, right? Then I open one of these up and I run away so I don't get chemical on my food. Watch yourself now. So, what this does, allows me to empty my tank and still drive the sprayer forward, right? In Alberta, we do this while we're driving down the road. So I can dump out a rinse, suck more fresh water in, dump out a rinse, all in gravel. But the ability to dump your tank from the cab, once you have it, is such a nice option. Good. More questions?